As Julie begins working on the yard, Bryce's family learns about her uncle's chromosomal condition. Bryce's father thinks of Julie's uncle as inferior, but Bryce's grandfather immediately corrects him, explaining that Julie's uncle's brain damage was due to complications at birth when the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. When Bryce was born, his mother had faced similar difficulties, and Bryce nearly suffered intellectual impairment. Through this, she realizes how fortunate her own child is and feels deep empathy for Julie's family. Bryce's mom then suggests inviting Julie's family over for dinner on Friday night. This is an unusual gesture. Previously, Julie often broke boundaries due to her lack of sense of boundaries. But now, Bryce's mom creates a new kind of bridge. Sharing a meal is secondary. The real intention is to foster communication between the two families. At this point, Bryce realizes the risk he faced at birth. His feelings toward Julie shift dramatically, fueled by his grandfather's frequent praise for her during their walks. For the first time, Bryce feels a desire to truly know Julie. Yet the story is full of twists. Even before this, Bryce had wanted to get closer to Julie. In the library, he talked about her with his friends, who made fun of Julie and especially her uncle. Bryce wanted to defend her, but couldn't bring himself to. Due to his people-pleasing nature, he went along with his friends' remarks. When Julie found out about it, she felt disappointed in Bryce once again. When Bryce later discovered that Julie knew what happened, he tried to apologize as soon as he saw her at a gathering. However, Julie had no intention of forgiving him and called him a coward, deeply wounding Bryce. After visiting Bryce's family, Julie felt even more appreciative of her own home. Though not wealthy, her life was filled with warmth and happiness. Bryce felt greatly moved by the dinner, and he began to reach out to Julie more actively. Later, the school organized a lunch boy event. The boys prepared different lunches, stood on stage, and the girls bid to win lunch and the chance to dine with a boy of their choice. Bryce was one of the 20 boys participating, and 2 especially attractive girls vowed to win him. Bryce, however, strongly hoped that Julie would bid for him instead, as it would force her to have lunch with him. During this time, Julie was largely ignoring him, and he desperately needed a chance to express his feelings to her. Unexpectedly, out of sympathy, Julie bid for an unassuming boy ahead of Bryce, leaving him feeling crushed. Another girl, Shelley, bid the highest for Bryce, so he ended up sitting with her. During the lunch, Bryce made a bold move. He stood up and walked over to Julie, attempting to kiss her, an action that occurs at the start of the novel. Julie, flustered, ran away, but Bryce suddenly realized that he had truly fallen in love with her. Deep down, Julie still liked Bryce, but she knew he still lacked true growth. Although their love was unlike that between adults, it still required maturity and decisiveness. Bryce needed to release his own sense of resolve to achieve personal growth. Therefore, Julie kept her distance from him. One day, while at home, Julie saw Bryce enter her yard and start digging. At first, she thought he was just trying to get her attention, so she pretended not to notice. But then, Bryce brought over a sapling, the fig tree that had been cut down, and planted it in her yard. Julie was moved because this act was not a simple gesture. Bryce's act of planting a tree in her yard truly touched Julie's heart. Earlier, her feelings were more naive and natural, but now she saw a changed Bryce, a Bryce with determination and action. She truly felt something for Bryce, seeing him bring life to a tree and reigniting her original dream. Bryce finally understood that words are sometimes unnecessary. What he said didn't matter. What mattered was his actions. His act of planting the tree allowed Julie to see Bryce's sincerity. That's where we'll end this story. If you found it inspiring or meaningful, feel free to share this book with your family and friends. See you next time.